Hi, everyone. It's Joe Chadburn. I'm doing a short video today on American Christian Zionist hypocrisy in the face of Palestinian resistance. First and foremost, I want to talk about my beliefs on war, weapons, love, peace, and human rights, the Jesus way. You can find out more about what I believe in lovereimagined.org. You're going to find much deeper theology, a breakdown that refutes Christian Zionism from an Orthodox Christian perspective. And there are many, many videos, hours and hours worth on Matthew 24. We get into the book of Revelation, Matthew 23, Matthew 25, and including their sister chapters in the Synoptic Gospel. So you'll be able to get into that and places throughout the epistles in the New Testament, and we go into the Old Testament as well. Like I say, it's deep and that is ever expanding. So if you're looking for something deep and theological that refutes Christian Zionism, the teachings of Darby and Schofield and such, that's a great place to go, and you can learn more. And to find out more about my beliefs on war, weapons, love, peace, human rights, and the Jesus way, you can go to the last short video I did, which is called Jesus Christ, the Antithesis of Christian Zionism. But I will say this, I do not believe in war, weapons. I'm not into any of that. I'm against nukes. I'm against all of that stuff. And I am for human rights. I am for the Jesus way. He said, blessed are the peacemakers. So I believe that we can make peace. He told us to turn the other cheek. He told us to love our enemies. He told us that we could love each other with the same love wherewith he has loved us. That was a new commandment I give you, that you love one another, even as I've loved you. And that is perfectly represented at the cross. 2 Corinthians 5:19 says, to wit, that God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself. Jesus said, he who's seen me has seen the Father. Nobody else could lay claim to that in the Old Testament or throughout history. So this is a beautiful thing. He alone is the brightness of the Father's glory, the express image of his person. He upholds all things by the word of his power, and by him all things consist. And when we look at the cross, we see a God who became incarnate and would rather be tortured and crucified and killed by the creation than to execute vengeance and destroy the creation or see creation destroy itself. This is our wonderful God who is love, and he is perfectly represented through our Lord Jesus Christ. And I'm so thankful for that. Not Moses, not Elijah, not David, not any of the prophets. Wonderful as those people were, they were groping in the dark. Jesus is the perfect representation. There's no genocide in Jesus. There's no hatred in Jesus. There's no apartheid. There's no racism in Jesus. I talk about that in the other videos. So I just want to get that out there. You can dig deeper and go into the videos, do your own study. I highly suggest that you do. I think you're going to find to yield some wonderful results as you listen to the Holy Spirit, follow the teachings of Jesus, follow the person of Jesus, and desire to walk more and more in the Jesus way. My formal theological training was deeply rooted in Christian Zionism, so I know all the talking points of Darbyism, of Schofieldism, and I do refute those in the videos on lovereimagined.org. And if you're interested in having a conversation or a debate, a gentlemanly debate, I would be glad to do that. A ladylike debate, gentlemanly debate, whatever it is that you want to have, I will have. I'd be glad to entertain that and to love you and just to share different perspectives. That would be beautiful for the edification, hopefully, of many, if you're interested in that. So here's the big question, okay? Does Israel have the right to defend itself? Now, this is the Hasbara, and Hasbara. You can Google it. It's Israeli propaganda that Netanyahu, Naftali Bennett, and all of the leaders of Israel use, and United States politicians use it. AIPAC uses it. CUFI uses it. This Hasbara, our media uses it. They repeat these talking points that every time, okay, that apartheid Israel, who oppresses the Palestinians and needles them day by day, kicking in their doors for no reason at 3 a.m., ransacking their houses, stealing their children, imprisoning people for no good reason. And I'm talking about young women as well that they imprison. Young women, children, they just don't care. The things that they do to Palestinians is horrendous. Shooting young boys' kneecaps out just to make a statement, just to maim a generation. For what? For playing soccer on the beach in Gaza. These horrible things happen. This oppression happens day after day after day. And then when you hear a story about somebody throwing a rock, some Palestinian kid throwing a rock, or someone that doesn't represent all Palestinians by any means, just a minority, decides to shoot, these unsophisticated rockets, okay, into the occupied Palestine, or send balloons on fire or whatever to set fields on fire. Then you get this when that happens, okay, infrequently compared to the day by day by day by day torment that the Israeli occupation puts on the Palestinians. When these things happen, all of a sudden you'll have these air raids on Gaza that are killing men, women, children indiscriminately. Just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they've destroyed so much of their water supply, their electricity. Gaza and much of the West Bank, frankly, is really an open air prison in so many ways. And when you do that to people and needle them, and then all of a sudden they retaliate, then we get this: Israel has the right to defend itself. Okay, I want you to think, if this happened in your country, let me just lay down a couple of scenarios, and you tell me who has a right to defend themselves. Now, again, I am anti-war. I am anti-weaponry. I'm against all of that stuff. I'm about turning the other cheek, loving your enemy. And we don't know what we're going to do unless we're in that particular situation. I would like to think that I would follow the Jesus way and that I would even die for those who despitefully use me and persecute me. But I can see the perspective of those who retaliate. Okay? And I believe that so many American professing Christians, evangelicals, the Second Amendment folks, okay, it's hypocrisy to say that you would not throw stones, Molotov cocktails, use your weapons to defend your houses, your lands, to regain them, if what happened to you happened to the people, the Palestinians in occupied Palestine, what's been happening for over 73 years. Yes, Google Nakba, Nakba. You will learn lots of things. Okay, so I'm going to throw some scenarios out here for you, and you tell me if there's not hypocrisy in the American church amongst dispensationalists, evangelicals. All right, here goes. All right, here's the severely persecuted refugee scenario. Let's say that, just hypothetical, there's a region in this world where a certain people group there's atrocities committed against them. There's genocide committed against them. There's rape committed against them. People are stealing their houses and lands and their goods and sending them on trains to concentration camps, gassing them and burning them and putting them through medical experiments and propagandizing against them and turning populations against them. And then after these people are defeated, who are perpetrating these atrocities, after they're defeated, the nations that are doing that want nothing to do with these people who have been under such severe treatment. They don't want to give them back their houses and lands and their stuff. That's not what they want. They want to get rid of them some other way and place them somewhere else. Yes, this is exactly what happened with Jews after World War II. Think about it. Now, let's say that's the case. And they say, you know what? The United States is a very welcoming country. There's several places that we could send these folks. Matter of fact, the Germans, the Europeans, one of the solutions was to send the Jews to Uganda, of all places. They wanted a place to send them. So the Palestinians happen to be very welcoming, loving people, and a place where, yes, Jews, Christians, and Muslims dwelled together in peace and could dwell together in peace. So let's say the Americans did like the Palestinians and accepted this group into their land, and everything seems okay at first. And then all of a sudden, there's a block of nations. Let's hypothetically say it's the European Union. Let's say the European Union says, well, these people here, what we're going to do now, because it's a strategic part of the earth. So geopolitically, this is really going to help us. So let's do this. Let's give these people weapons. Let's arm them. Let's give them nuclear capabilities. Let's give them an army, a navy, an air force. Let's just arm them to the gills. And then let's help them get more people can convert to this people group. They don't even have to have been born into it, didn't even have to practice their religion. Let's just make ways for them to be able to convert and encourage a conversion to this particular group from all around the world, and let them come and inhabit the United States, this block of land that they have. And then from there, what we're going to do with their militarism, they are going to destroy villages. They're going to kick people out of their houses. They're going to steal their houses and lands and vineyards and crops and herds and everything they have. Just totally destroy their livelihood, make the Americans refugees and send them, disperse them. Yeah. And let's, on top of that, let's fund these people with $3.8 billion plus each and every year so that they can have subsidized or free housing, free health care, free education. Some people call that socialism. The Americans, we pay for Israelis socialism, for occupied Palestine's socialism. So please don't talk to me about socialism, because it's hypocritical when over $3.8 billion each year is going to support an apartheid nation. So let's say that, let's keep on with this scenario for just a few more minutes here. And also in this scenario, there are apartheid walls that keep being built. And I'm not talking about a border wall like the one between the US and Mexico. I'm talking about an apartheid maze that separates people from their own land, separates people from their own families, separates people from their schools, hospitals, workplaces. Think about this: adequate medical care, their place of worship. This is really an abomination. If people separated you from your home, from your church, from your school, from hospitals, you would be so ticked off, and gave you just trashy roads while they had these wonderful superhighway type things, these great roads in comparison. And it was just a completely different, system. And here in the land of the free, the home of the brave, people were stealing houses and kept on colonizing, and you had more settlers coming in, even if it was somebody like Ivanka Trump, okay, has a right to return to occupied Palestine, although she has no roots there. There was never, when her ancestors weren't there, nevertheless, she gets to return. But a Palestinian who's got a key in their hand and a title deed to their house and land, a key to that house, used to live there 73, 74 years ago and beyond. People that were there, the original, many of them original Christians, okay, from 2,000 plus years ago, who have a right to the land, don't have a right to live there in the territory. Okay, this is crazy stuff, but somebody like Ivanka Trump does. So let's say that you have a bunch of Ivanka Trumps coming, and they're getting all this free stuff, and it's expanding militarily. Do you not think red-blooded American Christian Zionist, evangelical, Second Amendment folks, would you not fight back with stones and Molotov cocktails and extremely primitive rockets that you just shot randomly? And again, I don't justify violence on any level, but would you not do that? I'm telling you, you would. So every time you hear something in the news of Palestinian retaliation, think of what you would do if your people had been tormented for over 73 years and they stole your houses, stole your lands, committed absolute atrocities against you. Would you not fight back? That is my question. And if you would fight back, then it is by any means possible, then it is absolutely hypocritical for you to criticize the Palestinians. You would consider yourself a freedom fighter while you're calling other people terrorists. And again, I am anti-violence. I am anti-weaponry. I am anti-war. I'm anti-gun. I am anti all of those things. I am pro-peace. I am pro the Jesus way. But I know most, if not all, evangelicals, dispensationalists, Christian Zionists do not think like I do. That is not your theology. That is not what's in your psyche. And you would say, God gave us this land and it belongs to us, and we're going to fight back. We are not going to take this. You would be so angry. But if the news media did, okay, to you like they do to the Palestinians, it would be, oh, these aggressive terrorists. Yeah, and whatever nation it was had a right to defend itself. Whatever it called itself, it had a right to defend itself against these American refugees who really never were there, and they're just making this up. They were never there in the first place, and you'd have all of this propaganda. Again, Google Hasbara, Hasbara. You're going to come up with some wild stuff and dig deep. Wow. Okay, here's another scenario here. The Native American scenario. Okay, here are people. Now, this doesn't go back thousands of years. This just goes back hundreds of years. What if the Native Americans in the United States said, you know what? And wherever you're listening from, if you're in Texas, New Jersey, New York, Florida, California, Montana, Oklahoma, whatever state you are in right now, if they say, you know what, our ancestors own that land, it belongs to them, it was their land originally, and the Great Spirit says that it is ours. And let's say, again, a block of nations. Let's just say the European Union. I'm not against the European Union. I'm just using that because it's a block of nations. But let's say that the European Union said, okay, these people have a cause. They have a definite right to be there. They should possess this land. So they're going to do the same thing I presented in the last scenario. Make them a nuclear power in the region, inside of the United States. Give them and supply them with an army, a navy, and an air force, intelligence capabilities, and make them a welfare state, just like occupied Palestine, Israel is today. And we'll let the same thing play out. They can steal houses, lands, expand, do whatever they want to do. If the UN says anything, certain nations will have veto power, so it's not going to matter anyhow. The United Nations, the international community, will just be a paper tiger, regardless of how many abominable acts they are committing day after day after day for 73 plus years. Do you think, Mr. and Mrs. American evangelical Christian Zionist, do you really think that, would you, now ask yourself with intellectual, spiritual, moral honesty right now, ask yourself, would I give the Native Americans the key to the house that my mortgage is paid off? Give them the key to your house. Give them your land. Would you? give them whatever possessions they wanted, and just leave and go somewhere in an open air prison with a maze of apartheid walls where you couldn't get to your loved ones, where you couldn't get have really good access to health care, to education, to even to worship, to visit your families. Would you give up all your rights because the Native Americans had a claim to the land? Or would you be really upset with the European Union and the world community in general for what they're doing? And would you retaliate with whatever weapons were at your disposal? Again, I don't believe in war. I don't believe in weapons. I don't. I'm just I'm a I'm a peacemaker, a pacifist, if you will, and uh, and that's where I am. I believe that that's the Jesus way. But I'm asking you the question because that's where the hypocrisy lies, when you're following all this propaganda and you're allowing something to be perpetrated in a country that you wouldn't allow to be perpetrated in your own. And frankly, if your theological views weren't warped, if this is happening anywhere else around the world besides this little block of territory in the Middle East, you'd be screaming bloody murder. But because you think Jesus is into the genocide and the eviction and the ongoing Nakba against Palestinians, because you believe that nonsense, you're okay with it. You turn a blind eye and you follow the Hasbara narrative because you've been theologically and politically brainwashed by the media and brainwashed. I know what it is like to be a brainwashed American when it comes to this particular topic. And I'm just saying, you need to address it and either say, yes, I have a double standard. Yes, this is hypocrisy. Just admit to it, because there's no way. And I'm going to say, change your ways. Be open to changing your views and stand for humanity. Stand for humanity. Stand for peaceful coexistence in occupied Palestine. I'm not talking about exterminating anybody or kicking people, out of nations. That's really not the case. I'm talking about peaceful coexistence, and that's what so many Christian Palestinians, Muslim Palestinians, and Jewish people who want peaceful coexistence there in what many call the Holy Land. That's what they want amongst Christians, Muslims, Jews, and everybody else, atheists, everybody else. So really, really think about this. I think I've given you a whole lot to chew on. Yeah, and I want to. I'll close with this. If these scenarios happen to you, would you feel like you had the right to defend yourself and return to your home? Just that's between you, God, your conscience, whatever. But that's a question that needs to be thought about, really seriously thought about, give us some serious thought and answered. And I hope you follow truth. I hope you follow beauty. I hope you follow the way of love, the way of peace, the way of hope, the way of Jesus. God bless you. I love you so much. I do. Check out lovereimagined.org for more info and have a wonderful day. Until next time, see you later. Love you.